Hello, my name is Carmack, and in today's After Effects tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to do the effect from the Thunderbolts trailer of Sentry basically vaporizing people. If you see here in After Effects, I've created just such a beautiful look, and I figured out exactly how they're doing this effect. Gosh, this effect is so freaking cool, and I have to let you know that this video is sponsored by my sugar daddy, Squarespace. Here in After Effects, you can see this effect. It just turned out so incredible. So here we have our characters who are running away from being vaporized. And the first step is masking them out. And the reason we're masking them out is because ultimately we need to replace the background because they're about to get vaporized. So once you have your 3 masked out people, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna select our background footage and we'll grab our track mat and we're gonna select our top one. So everything in our background is showing except for our characters. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna come to Content Aware Fill. And you can see kind of how her hair goes a little outside of the mask. We're gonna fix that by changing the alpha expansion of our fill target to like 30. So it's gonna expand the hole large enough to get all of those extra details. We'll select the fill method to object and lighting correction, and we'll do generate fill. And then you get something like this, which I think is actually pretty stellar. But for now, we're gonna turn our fill invisible, and we're only gonna bring it up once our people are vaporized. So what we can do now is we can turn off this alpha matte so we have our characters back. So I've separated the masks out to each character so they can get vaporized by themselves. And I'll start with the girl on the left. So right at the moment you want her to get vaporized, I'll do right here. We're gonna grab our mask and we're just gonna cut it to start at this frame. And in effects and presets, I'm gonna type in fill and I'm gonna make it black. And now this is when we can turn our fill visible, and I'm gonna put it behind our masks. And for now, we're just going to grab our rectangle tool, make sure our content aware fill layer is only over top of this girl so we don't get these extra artifacts from the fill on the other characters. So once you have her turned black, back in effects and presets, we're gonna type in fast, radial fast blur. And we're gonna put that onto our clip. We're gonna select the center and we're gonna move it above her head, and then we're gonna change the amount to be kind of substantial. Because if we look at the Thunderbolts trailer footage, for a split second, it's like they turn black and they have all these rays shooting off of them like they're being like shot forward. And you can play around with the center to get the direction of the rays that you want. Just looking at it frame by frame, you can see what's happening here. We're gonna cut this really fast. So we're just gonna hold this little ray animation for 2 frames. So if you watch it back, it looks like that. What we're gonna do is we're gonna create a keyframe for center and amount. And on the second frame, we're gonna make the amount further like this. And we can change the center to be even more narrow. So you have something that like this. It's like the shadow is like shooting onto the ground. It looks incredible. So now we actually need to get a freeze frame of this girl. So we're gonna duplicate this layer and get rid of the fast blur. What we're gonna do is actually pre-compose this layer, right click, go to time, and then freeze frame. And then I'm just gonna pre-compose this layer again so it'll show up in my project panel. I'm gonna name it left girl freeze frame. And then we can just delete this layer, because now if I solo just our original footage, I'm gonna go to tracker and track camera, because we're going to 3D track this black freeze frame onto the ground, just like in the trailers. And then once you have your targets popping up, go to right here where you have the first black freeze frame. We'll select on camera tracker. I'm going to right click and create solid. So now this solid is tracked into our scene, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna move it in front of this girl, and in our project panel, we're gonna type in our left girl freeze frame right here, and I'm going to hold Alt and click on this layer, and then select the track solid. So now the track solid has been replaced with our black freeze frame. I'm just gonna move the anchor point to the middle and rotate it so it matches with her. Something like this. I'll move my anchor point to like where the shoes are and then scale it up like that. So now we have this black freeze frame tracked into our scene. I'm gonna put this below the left girl. So right here, the second that pops up, what we're gonna do is just trim this black layer to right here. So it looks like this. Ooh, she got vaporized. Okay, and here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to duplicate the blurry layer, and I'm gonna get rid of the radial, the fast blur. And in effects and presets, I'm going to put fast box blur on it. Just crank that radius up a bit. And I'm actually gonna set it to vertical dimensions. Have to do something like this. I'm gonna grab the mask rectangle tool on that layer and hit subtract and feather it out. And I'm gonna cut it on the second frame. So you kind of still have a strong silhouette of the person right before they get turned into part of the road. Let's see. God, that looks incredible. And then of course on our freeze frame, we're gonna put fast box blur on this as well and crank up the radius a little bit. I'm actually gonna set it to vertical dimensions, so it kind of looks like the blur is moving forward. Ooh, she got fried. That is crazy. That looks so good. And when you play it frame by frame, it's pretty epic. You know, in the trailer, they add the black freeze frame on the ground instantly as soon as the effect starts, but it might be more effective to kind of have it happen a frame after, so it looks kind of like this. And so you can see I've rinsed and repeated that process with these 3 characters. And when you look at it frame by frame, it's just so juicy. So, you know, you have your 3D tracked freeze frame on the ground, and then your radial fast blur just shooting out those lights. And I also do think it's really important to duplicate your super blurry layer so it has some depth to it. So it's not all just this blur, but you have some silhouette left in your character. So the moment they get fried, it really stands out that they were like just standing there as people. Look at that. Oh. So I'm really proud. This came out so well. And the effect is so cool because then you just have these silhouettes of these people dead on the ground. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you do Sentry's vaporizing effect from Marvel. I can't wait for the Thunderbolts. I'm so excited for that movie, and I hope everyone now can make a Sentry fan film. And now, of course, I'd like to thank my amazing sponsor, Squarespace. I have to introduce to you Squarespace's design intelligence. You might not know this about me, but I have the biggest collection of vintage life magazines in the world, and I want to create a site showing off this American history in a really pretty way. And so with Squarespace's design intelligence, I can create a website that looks perfect and vibey. So with these vintage magazines, maybe some cool vintage looking shapes to show off some covers, a nice color scheme that really matches the dark tones of these magazines. And if I need some assistance, they have award-winning templates. So I actually have a lot of duplicates of these vintage magazines, and I want to sell them as collector's items to other people. And what's amazing about that is Squarespace has online stores you can create. So if you have products, whether that's jewelry, plants, vintage magazines, you can create a beautiful online store with Squarespace. And even better, Squarespace payments is endless. They have all the popular payment methods like Klarna and Afterpay, all the buy now, pay later options. And if you don't think Squarespace is incredible yet, well, how about the fact that they gave me a code to give you for 10% off your first website or domain. So go get a discount on creating a website that will bolster your image as a professional. Really, anybody can benefit from having an amazing website. So build it with Squarespace. Where there's a will, there's a way. My name is Will, and have a nice day.